time to go over this table that I just finished refinishing. It was an antique table. Someone was giving it away for free on Craigslist. So I went and picked it up, completely stripped it down, sanded it, and restained it. And I just want to go over how it turned out, how it looks, and all the things I've noticed. I know all the mistakes that I've made. I'm still learning how to refinish furniture. But yeah, I'll go over how this table turned out so I can learn from the mistakes, and maybe anyone who watches this can as well. So stripping it down, it originally just had an old antique stain, and we used furniture stripper. I've got all my supplies over here. What stuff do we use? This heirloom stuff we got from Home Depot, just regular furniture stripper. Now initially we painted it all on, right? Wait for it to bubble, scrape it off with a scraper. But then as I was watching some videos online too, we found this guy, he would actually take his steel wool and actually dip it in a bucket with stain in it, and then use that to scrub down the surface just to get an extra level of stain off as well. You can kind of see, this is another piece that I'm working on here. And it really gets it down to the original wood. There's some spots with a little bit of stain left, but with the steel wool you scrub it down and it just kind of lessens the amount of sanding you have to do. So what happened on this table is scraped all the top and everything like that, and you can use the steel wool with the furniture stripper as well as some wire brushes. I think I've got some down here for the corners and everything like that. So you just use these wire brushes, scrape it in the corners. So we got it all down to the original wood, started sanding it. Now when I was sanding it, I noticed, light's in the way, I noticed there were still a lot of water stains, right? So I ran into an issue of basically how much I should sand. And because this is an antique table, right, you really don't want to change the shape of anything on here, because it's once you do, you're sort of wrecking it, or definitely wrecking it. And there's things too you got to be careful, like I let my girlfriend help me a little bit, but it's spots like this on the edge here, let's see if I can get it good, where it's not a perfect gap. We can actually see I've sanded it a little bit more down on the corners, because this is usually open when you do it, and you got to be careful of spots like that, because you'll have the palm sander, right, and you'll just go and you'll accidentally sand a little bit more in the corners. So that's something you got to be careful of. So it really became a question of how much wood should I take off the top, because I could keep doing it down, get through all those little black watermarks, or you just kind of find a medium. What I ended up doing is, because I knew I was going to do a dark stain, right, I left a number of the watermarks, and now all those ones that I was worried about, you can't really see in the actual grain anymore. Yeah, it actually completely hid them, so it was something I was worried about showing up in the final stain, but you can't notice it just because there's so much detail in this table. Sanded it down, had some watermarks I was worried about. I didn't really, one thing I should have done, I never did, test the stain. The table came with 2 leaves. What I really should have done was test the stain on one of the leaves, see how it came out, because initially the stain I got, it's over here, this guy, been waxed. The color is dark walnut, right, which is actually pretty damn close to what it came out to be, if you can see that. But what I did, a mistake that I made, was I put on way too much stain. Basically I just coated stain on stain. The oil-based stain has to actually dry in the wood. It can't sit on the surface. So what I did was I put 3 coats of stain on, and then I touched it the next day and it was still really sticky. So what I had to do was get steel wool with mineral spirits, and just take off all that excess stain. And luckily the first coat I'd put on enough and it kind of dried in the wood, so this was the color that it came out, after even taking mineral spirits and going over the top and removing the excess stain. So putting on way too much stain is one of the problems that I made. And you know what, it's because too, this was the last table that I stained, which it was just a shitty round table that had veneer on it, which I didn't really know what veneer was at the time, so I'm sanding it down, trying to strip it to the wood so I can stain it, and I sanded right through the veneer, and I see all the particle board underneath, and I'm just like, oh shit. So what I ended up doing for this table was just actually painting it with stain. And you can kind of see that with all the brush strokes, like along the edges here, just brush strokes of stain down. Okay, so I put on too much stain, got rid of it with mineral spirits. What else? Then painting the polyurethane on is some sort of fine art. Originally what I'd used before is just a spray paint can of polyurethane, but it's not the greatest for adding lots of layers of protection kind of thing. Or you can if you just keep doing it, I don't know, 5-10 times. So I went for brushing it on. This is an oil-based one because the oil-based gives you a little bit more time to play with the polyurethane. If it's water-based, it dries a lot quicker. So, because I'm still not experienced, right, paint the oil-based polyurethane on, and I'll go back a bit later if I see any drops or anything that need just touch-ups. I can still do it because you get a bit of time with the oil-based. And the first coat on this table, I painted with a brush. But the brush I used is an old brush that's not, it worked, it was alright, but it was creating a lot of little micro bubbles because I don't know if it was the tips of the brush or just probably hasn't been cleaned out properly. I should have just gone out and got a new brush to do it. But then from that I switched to these little foam brushes. I just went to the dollar store and got just a pack of foam brushes. I was using that for the other everything other than the first coat, and they worked. I liked the way the foam brushes put it on, because with the paintbrush you got to be really careful because you can actually put on way too much polyurethane pretty easily, and then you got to watch out for drips. But with the foam brushes it kept an even layer on, which I liked. So I did that. A couple problems I was running into on the polyurethane. It reads sand lightly with 220 grit. I'm guessing I sanded a bit too much when I was doing it between the coats. Oh, you can't even see anything on here. Anyways, it does say that on there. 220 grit to ensure even finish and proper adhesion. So really what you got to do, I guess, is just scrape up the polyurethane a bit so that when you put on a new coat it can stick. But what I've got, I can kind of see in the actual coat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the phone, but you can see little scratches down that are kind of in the clear coat, in the polyurethane, because I sanded straight down this table, and then I had a little mistake on here that I had to fix, so I sanded in circles on this one, and you can see there's a little bit of circles all the way through. And I really got to find a way to get this, because this is still not perfectly smooth. I can still feel little bits of imperfections on the top, and I think that's a couple of things. I think I've got it level enough that it is just pure polyurethane. There's no imperfections on the table that are leaving little bumps, but I'm in a shitty basement that's got dust and crap everywhere, so when I do it you do get little bits of contaminants in it, so that's adding to the imperfections. And then same thing here. This one was a piss off because I had to do this side again because there was a hair in there that I picked out, but then you can see, if I can get it in the camera, right in the middle there is, somehow I bunged that up and I just missed putting the polyurethane out easily, so I'm going to have to fix that somehow. Probably sand it down again and put on one more coat. But I think I would use a finer grade sandpaper, because 220, I'm guessing that's the cause for leaving all these little micro scratches. It's probably that combined with me brushing a little bit too hard. And it's really, it's one of those things that unless you know it's there, you probably never notice it. But if you want a perfect professionally finished table, it's something that you can't leave. Also too, I noticed, I forgot to mention, when I was sanding it down, I'm using the palm sander, right? And I started with 60 grit, because usually they recommend, I guess, 100, maybe 120 to sand with the palm sander. I don't know where mine's right over here. Just a little Ryobi palm sander. And the 60 grit just does the job a little bit quicker, but again, you got to watch out for taking too much wood off the tables. You got to be really careful. And then also I'm noticing too that it leaves these marks. They're hard to see, but you can see these little half circles all along here. Actually, I think it's better on this end. Right here is where you notice it the most. All these little half grooves, right? And they're not part of the wood because you can see they transverse a couple different planks. There's one plank, there's another plank in the actual table. And that's just for me sanding. The way that I sand it, I come back and I put my hand and go all the way down end to end, right? But because I don't continue all the way off the table, it leaves these little, whatever you call them, U-shaped marks where you can just like, you can see the actual revolutions or whatever you'd call it, the orbital sander. So that's something you got to be extra careful of to get rid of those, because that would have been with the heaviest sandpaper, 60 grit, that was leaving those. Got to spend more time with 80, 100, 120. I ended up finished sanding it at 150. I should mention that. I stopped at 150 because I read online that it's not, you're not going to be feeling the actual table because this is not any oils or anything. So I'm not feeling the actual wood. You'll be feeling the polyurethane at the end, which is, it's just the different level of sandpaper that you use. It's just the different kind of look you'll get with the stain. Apparently, I'm not that much of an expert that I actually noticed that. So that was another piss off too, but I only noticed that after removing the excess stain. You saw all that, and really I'm just like, yeah. I didn't want to sand it all down, strip it and sand it all down again to fix it. I kind of just left it in there. But I've had 3 or 4 people look at it, and I've asked them to check out the table for any imperfections, and it's one of those things where unless you're looking for it, you're not going to notice it. And I think that's pretty much it. One other piss off, it's not really a piss off, but my leaf, came with 2 leaves, right? One had 4 pegs in it, and the other is missing 3. So I only have 1 peg, and when you put it in the table, it doesn't balance. Like one end will stick up a lot higher than the other. So I gotta find a way to get little pegs to put in the other one, because I'm not gonna be able to sell this or do anything with this until you're able to put 2 leaves in it, because it's table's the right size, and 2 leaves will just change it from, I guess, 1, 2, 3, like 6 placements to 8 placements. But other than that, I think it came out really nice. It was much better than what it started as, although I don't know. I'm always worried about taking an antique that you don't have to do any work to, and because I'm so eager to refinish it, I guess wrecking it, because some of them, I guess, people want them in the original form that they have, even though they don't look as nice and they have that many years of age. But I guess that's the whole point of having an antique. Yeah, and I'm quite pleased how this turned out. I'm still learning lots, which is great. I love the look of this table. Like these little gate legs, or whatever you call them, I guess they're not really gate legs, but the 2 legs in the middle are hilarious because they're just not in the center of the table. And just doing the latch here, and they kind of it's just a unique feature about a table that was made before they had all machine precision and everything like that. And it's interesting. They're just a bit off to the right, as you can see with the center line there. It's just something unique that this table has. I love the color it came out. Could have been a little bit darker, but I can't complain because I don't really know how I would have got it darker, other than maybe leave bigger pores open in the wood, or maybe that's just how the wood stains. yeah, that's pretty much it. I gotta fix that one little imperfection here somehow, sand it down, put another coat of polyurethane on it, and then I'm gonna try to sell it and try and see how much I can get for it. It's tough to say. If I had done a perfect job on it, I could be comfortable easily asking for, I don't know, $1,000, something for an antique table that's solid wood, which I don't know the wood type. That's a whole nother thing. I was trying to figure that out. If anyone can let me know what the wood is on this table, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm gonna try putting it up for $800 at first and see if we get any responses, and then slowly drop it. Maybe I might be able to sell it for like $600, something around there. No chairs, unfortunately, so we'll see. Anyways, thanks for taking a look. This is just for my own records too, so I remember everything I did right and did wrong on this table, and just helps for my learning experience as well. My next project is this little dresser I got, again, picked up for free on Craigslist. This little antique, I guess it's like a child's dresser. It had this nice inlay. They painted red. You can see it's got nice dovetail linkages. I think she estimated she'd had it for at least 60 years. It was her grandmother's, so it was painted all ugly white, and I'm in the middle of stripping it down, and a nice burn mark. So that, I think I want to do a combination of painting it and staining some of the wood, but we'll see how that turns out. Anyways, thanks for watching.